Good afternoon. Welcome in. We are determining as to whether or not the Green Bay Packers have a first down. They have a fumble. What happens from here on out? But they are down 15-9 with 1:08 to go left in the game. 15-9. And this is probably one of the ugliest, worst, sucktasticest performances I've ever seen out of the Green Bay Packers. Terrible so far. Waiting to find out as to whether or not via the booth review the Packers are going to have the ball where it went out of bounds or what. But nevertheless, phone lines are wide open. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so, because not a good day by any stretch of the imagination for the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers specifically. 21 of 37, 256 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks in the red zone. And, the one was deep, and it ended up in the red zone, but it wasn't a red zone pick, so to speak. But nevertheless, a terrible day. Packers on third downs, they've been fantastic, 8 of 13. Detroit, 6 of 11. You can go on and on. The defense, which is going to receive the ire of many, held a pretty good scoring offense in Detroit to only 15 points. Not a bad day at the office. And as they were talking about, I heard during the actual broadcast of the game, they were saying that, this defense is not built to win you games. This defense is built to sustain games after the offense puts up 27 to 30 points, of which this offense can't do to save their life. And when we made our picks at the beginning of the week, and then again on Thursday, Ben Kenny and I were going through that whole litany, and Ebo as well, as a matter of fact. We were going through that whole litany of things in regards to the Packers and the win for this game. Now, I picked the Vikings to get the win. Okay? I picked the Vikings, the Vikings. I picked the Lions to get the win. And the reason I did is because of exactly what we thought would happen. Is the offense is terrible. Rodgers today looked as bad, and he can be as mad as he wants at many different people, but he's got to point the finger, number one, directly at, with a crosshair at himself. He stunk today. Aaron Rodgers pathetically stunk today. Now, the injuries along the way didn't help. I agree when you start going through the litany of guys that went down. But man, oh man, oh man, stunk today. Just horrific. Now, the Packers could, by the way, still end up with a win in this contest. They could still end up with a win, although we're going to go to another booth review is to find out whether or not the ball was actually fumbled after a deep pass. And now you're going to, you know how exciting the end of this game is? I am actually listening within the household now here at the studio, and I can hear Kristen downstairs going, "Oh my God, no!" So, the chain gang looks like they are going to move, and maybe it's going to still be the Packers' ball at this point, but don't know. They're going to go to a booth review on this. This is just a terrible game. You still got this hope. You still got this excitement. At least the game's exciting to a certain extent, but for the most part, it's just a terrible football game. It's just a terrible football game. It is a comedy of errors, and it is a bad, banged up, undisciplined, error committing, craptastic play calling, arrogant leadership team. It's terrible. It's Ryan. That's what you're going to come out with. You're negative. Really, Ryan? They can still win the game. Absolutely. What does it mean? Do you feel good about the Cowboys coming in next week? Right? Ryan, do you want me to blow smoke up your ass? Is that what you want, Ryan? Not happening. It's just bad. And I'll say this, for what our expectations were at the beginning of the season to where they are now, they've become drastically different. And I know, look, as a fan, you want to see the Packers win. You want to keep hope. You want to keep hope alive. You want to continue to say, okay, things can get better. What makes you think at what point they're going to turn this around? Sean Payton said it best at halftime. Sean Payton said it best. He said, this feels like, we keep saying this was the game. This Detroit Lions team, this was the get-right game, right? This was the get-right game. He said, I think we've been saying that for like 3 to 5 weeks now. Think about that. This was the, quote, get-right game. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and hit us up over on the phone numbers. You can find us on the stream at Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Facebook fan page, you can watch us there, The Bill Michaels Show over on Facebook. Facebook, The Bill Michaels Show. YouTube, simply Bill Michaels Show on YouTube. On YouTube and on Twitch TV. You can follow me over on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok now, which I put out the first TikTok ever in the history of me over the weekend. And you can check that out, and you can follow us in many different facets. So anyway, that being said, just an ugly game for the Green Bay Packers in many different facets. And it's going right down to the wire. They're trying to punch the ball into the end zone. Just not happening. They can still win the game. If they win the game, I guess that is obviously a positive, correct? Okay. But what do you take away from this game? What do you take away from this game? Crane says, what I take away from the Packers-Lions game is that it's two bad teams fighting for sub-mediocrity. He says Aaron Rodgers is past his prime. Matt LaFleur quit play calling and innovative play calling years ago. It's over. Well, not years ago. I mean, last year they were in the postseason, played pretty well. They just didn't play well in the postseason. You know? Ain't happening. But the game itself, this particular game, what is this a microcosm of? You know? Andy says, no faith in Aaron Rodgers. He looks disenchanted. He looks angry. And TJ Lang, who works with the Detroit Lions in the sideline reporting during their radio broadcast, said he's never seen Aaron Rodgers this mad, this angry, swearing this much on the sideline. A lot of it is at himself, which, you know, you hope to kind of hear in the post-game presser, you know? Rob says, I really want to hear what Rodgers' excuses are this time. I'm really fascinated by that because I think he's going to take ownership of this. Bakhtiari, obviously, in and out of the game again today. Just not I don't know if he's ever going to remain healthy. 4th and 10, and the Lions have just won the ball game. They held the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers are going to fall to the Detroit Lions for their 5th loss in a row, 15-9. 15-9. The train wreck is now on. And next week, there could possibly be a firing. I don't think so. I mean, I know a lot of people are calling for it. I don't think so. But if Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys come in and just dump truck the Green Bay Packers, it could lead to a firing. There are no answers for this team. And a team that was considered to be a good team, a good defensive team, with the loss of one player. So it was Davante Adams. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers. It was Davante Adams. Remember at the beginning of the season, we said, well, we'll find out because Aaron Rodgers is supposed to make everybody better. He's the smartest guy in the room, right? When 85% or 75% of your offense runs through Davante Adams, it's not Aaron Rodgers, it's Davante Adams. We keep talking about Aaron Rodgers being the smartest guy and having the best arm and the best player. Well, maybe it was Davante Adams. This was about as bad as he could play. 24 of 43, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 53.5. 53.5. All they could muster was an Allen Lazard 20-yard pass from Aaron Rodgers into the end zone and a Mason Crosby 25-yard field goal. And the Detroit Lions outlasted the Green Bay Packers welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you just tuning us in, all 177 and growing 10,000, whatever the hell it is, over on the Bud Light live stream and such. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this. I really do. But welcome to 1984. The 80s. Man, oh man, oh man. What a terrible day. The injuries mounted for the Green Bay Packers. The injuries continue to press on. Jennifer, I don't blame you. She said, Bill, I apologize, but I can't listen to you right now. I'm too upset. Give me a couple of days. Love the show as always and have a great show, but I just can't listen. Jennifer, I understand it. I understand it completely. No problem. No problem. Dustin says other networks are more positive. Dustin, other networks are blowing smoke up your ass for money. Sorry. Mitchell says, be spot on and be honest. Thanks, Una, for being here. Jacob says, this is a train wreck. What is going to happen next week when Micah Parsons comes and put his whoop down on Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. Maybe he reconciles with his family. I have no idea. Maybe he gets beat so bad he goes back home and says, hey, what do I need to do? I have no idea. I had no idea. Rob says, can we at least talk about some of the good things? I hate to say it, but the defense played pretty well. Joe Barry's guys, although they give up some scores, played tough. They did play tough. They were put in bad situations. Jair Alexander gets the pick and apparently was going to turn the tide of this game. Matt LaFleur said they needed a big play. Well, there you go. Aaron Rodgers turned right around and gave it right back to him. Kathy says, do you think the organization is tanking because they want Rodgers gone? No. You don't pay a guy and owe a guy $50 million and then tank. You just don't do that. They were going all in. There was some serious miscalculations on a part of Brian Gutekunst. And let me back up for a second here. I got up this morning and I had tweets and such. Had a terrific time yesterday. Had some charity events we went to. Feeling really good. Watched the Badger game yesterday out at the Cedars Lanes. Had a good time with a lot of Badger fans out there. Had a good time watching football all day yesterday, for that matter, although I was rooting against LSU, and LSU ended up beating Alabama. But that being said, and then I was hoping last night the Phillies would extend the World Series and they would get a win. The Bucks continue to win. The Bucks are undefeated. So a lot of good things are going on. And I woke up this morning to all of these tweets about Adam Schefter reporting what the Packers were in on and Fox Sports reporting what the Packers were in on. They were looking at a tight end. They were looking at a wide receiver. And I just finally said enough of the chatter about what they were in on and what they were offering. Ultimately, they didn't do anything. They didn't go the extra step. And people say, what do you want to offer them? Lambeau? No. If you wanted to get better, you'd get better. I don't understand why. And you, for those of you that have heard this already, I apologize. But I don't understand why you're going to pay a quarterback $50 million a year, watch the number one wide receiver walk out the door, invest in your defense, try to get better in so many different ways, and put a defense together that needs to play with a lead, that needs to basically hold a team rather than trying to completely stifle a team and win games, but just hold a team under 24, under 22 points per game. That's all you're asking that defense to do, because the offense was built to be a 30-plus point offense per game, 27-plus points per game. And that way it would basically counter the defense and everything would be great with this world. Why in the world do you want to keep leaking out, oh, by the way, we were in on this, we were in on that guy. Sources say we were offering a number one here. Well, your bottom line didn't do enough. And the biggest announcement you made on acquisition day was, oh, by the way, yay, Jordy and Josh Sitton are coming back to be inducted in the Packers Hall of Fame. Who cares at that point? All we were wanting to know was this team going to get better? No, we're happy with the guys we have in that room. No, we're happy with everything we have with Joe Barry. Nobody's getting fired. Nobody's losing their job. Nobody's going to go anywhere because we are completely happy. And you just got your ass whipped by the Detroit Lions and you couldn't score in double digits. You, my friend, sitting in the ivory tower, suck. Period. There you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, hit us up. Where's the Tylenol? Let's go to the phone calls. Let's talk to Mike, listening to us in Rockford. Mike, how you doing? Michael! Mike, did you drop off? Mike dropped off. I think Mike kind of listened to that and went, whoa, wait a minute. I need to breathe here. Need to breathe. Mike, call us back if you can. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Now, the question becomes, because Aaron Rodgers played so incredibly poorly today, do you bench him for Jordan Love at this point? As long as you have a mathematical hope, there is no way in hell, unless that thumb is suddenly so incredibly bad, there is no way in hell that you're going to see Jordan Love. Just not going to see it. You know why? Here's the reason why. Because you might hurt Aaron's feelings and make him mad. You know? You might make him mad. At this point, I mean, we're just waiting to hear what the post-game press is going to be. Because I think at this particular point in time, if you really because remember, Aaron Rodgers says, hey, there's guys that aren't playing well. And we can lose with anybody. Guys should lose snaps. Well, you, not once but twice in the red zone, all you had to do was put a little more. I have no idea what you were looking at when you throw a ball into a face mask, into a helmet of an oncoming player. It's one thing if they put their paw way up in the air and jump and get it and knock it down. But when you hit somebody in the face with a pass, are you even trying? And then a guy that can't stay healthy. This is so damn funny. A guy that can't stay healthy. He has knee issue after knee issue after knee issue after knee issue. Now, the unexpected was positive because nobody in that building expected David Bakhtiari to be going out for a pass. But he wasn't going to get a bunch of separation. And it was funny because after he did the spin around thing, he wasn't in the game for a while after that. Maybe that injured the knee. Who knows? But Aiden Hutchinson, the rookie that they picked up this year in the draft, made a beautiful read on this situation and dropped back into coverage and just took the ball out of the breadbasket of one David Bakhtiari, who in no way, shape, or form was going to break forward on the ball and fight for it because the guy can barely stand up at this point because he spends more time riding a bike on the sidelines than he does blocking a defensive end. I know he wants to be there. I give him all the credit in the world. He's working his ass off, trying to earn his money. He's trying to do everything he can. He just may simply not be able to do so anymore. Okay? Because it's a revolving door over at the left tackle position. But that's the guy. You're going to say, you know what? Between you and me, our best shot at scoring. Aaron Jones, no. F that. A.J. Dillon up the gut. No. F that. No. Oh, Robert Tonyan across the middle. No, F that. No. Come on. We're going to send out, listen to this. We're going to send out David Bakhtiari. How about that, huh? Oh, my God. Let's get back to it. Let's go to Spencer. Spencer, welcome to the program, man. What's happening?
Bill, my goodness. First of all, listen to your take on all the whole thing about leaks and everything about what we could have got. There's a point in time where it's no longer about who we could have gotten and the fact that we did zero up until trade deadline. But that's, here and now. What I want to ask you is, and I've been watching you for a long time, what at this point is going to get the Green Bay Packers on the correct route? Because I know on Twitter I said somebody's going to lose their job if if the Green Bay Packers lose this game, at a certain point. What is it going to take for the Green Bay Packers to finally wake up and start being the Green Bay Packers?
It is this season, and I hate to say this because I don't want to, because it's good for my business if they're competitive, okay? It's good if they're in the hunt still for the postseason, fans get rejuvenated, okay? But to be honest with you, and not blowing smoke up your ass, the season's done. So this year is over. There's nothing that's going to bring this season back or resuscitate it. The play calling sucks. The defense at times looks lost. We saw it again today when they couldn't seem to cover it. Arnold Savage in the back of the end zone got completely lost on breaking on a tight end over the middle. No idea what he was looking at. There are times that this team is just so unbelievably undisciplined between penalties and looking lost that I don't think anything's going to fix it at this point. So what you need to do is you need to reset in the offseason. You need to figure out what your commitment's going to be. You need to cut this dead wood. Randall Cobb is always going to be hurt. He's always going to take time off. I don't care if he's Aaron Rodgers' buddy anymore. Goodbye. Get out. David Bakhtiari can't stay healthy. It's been 2 years. Goodbye. Get out. You'll save at least $16 million. Now, you're going to pay more people along the way, but you got to start working some of these contracts. And then I don't care about the draft. You got to make some deals. You got to find a legit wide receiver in the offseason that's going to come in and help this team, reformulate your offensive line. Joe Barry has to go. He's got to get out. And then maybe you take one more shot at this thing with a loaded team and you say all in, and then after that, who really cares? Jordan Love can ride in and try to do his magic if he has any in his hat at all. But other than that, nothing is going to help this team this season. Even Aaron Rodgers sucks. Do you feel better, or do you want to drink more?
Trust me, it's going to be a rough day at work tomorrow. Let's just end it at that. But appreciate it, Bill. Much love to you and the family. Keep doing what you're doing, brother.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. That's Spencer. I love it. When you know what? We get accused a lot of times of being too negative, especially after a loss. And sometimes it's maybe over the top. I can understand that. Sometimes it's being honest. I'm saying what you're thinking, even though you don't want to hear it, because the Packers have been so good for so long. And there's got to be hope on the horizon, right? There's got to be somebody that's going to come walking through that door. There's got to be some magic in that old silk hat they found. There's got to be something. There's got to be some kind of mental awareness that Aaron Rodgers, with ayahuasca teas and such, is going to bring to the levitation of this team to where they rise up, they come out of the ashes, and they reclaim the North. Or at the very least, they get into the postseason and do what they do. Ain't happening this year. Ain't happening this year. Nope. This was the defining moment. There was getting your ass kicked by the Jets and beat up physically up front. That was a defining moment. Getting beat, well, in London, we can say, this team got into London. They were a little too more focused on having fun and going to pubs and playing with fans than they were. And Matt LaFleur knew he was worried. He knew it. He could see it coming down the tracks. There was the light. It was going to punch you in the face. His team stood out on the railroad tracks, and they smelled the daisies, and they got beat. And then they thought, no big deal, coach. We'll come home and we'll get a win. Because you know why? The New York Jets, the lowly Jets, they're on the horizon. No problem there. We're going to go ahead and take this one. We're going to get this game for you. We're going to win this thing. It's going to be easy. They're the Jets, for God's sakes. Not an issue. And then you got beat. And not only did you get beat, you got beat physically. You got beat in the trenches. You got beat up front. Well, 27-10, can't score, offense sucks, everybody blames Joe Barry. Let's go into Washington. Washington's horrible. Come on, man, they're the Commanders. Their owner's getting indicted. They're going to get all kinds of problems. Tyler Heineke, for God's sakes, come on, we're going to beat him. And then you get beat, 23-21. Then you go, you know what, Monday night, this is the best thing for us. No, it's not. You got your ass handed to you, 27-17. So you're going to bounce back in your get-right game against the Detroit Lions, and you sucked. There is no more get-right. Cowboys, going to kick your ass. Titans, going to run all over you. Eagles, going to whoop your ass on Sunday Night Football to the embarrassment point. And then comes Justin Fields down in Chicago. You don't own this no more. No, you don't. You are going to get heckled beyond heckled in Chicago, because they look better than you do. Rams are going to come in with that pathetic team they have as the defending champions. They're going to beat you. You're going to sweat to death and lose in a sauna down in Miami. You're going to get it handed to you by a team that's ready to put the emphatic stamp on owning the North with, oh, by the way, Zadarius Smith, who you thought sucked and had no back left and you treated him kind of poorly and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, oh, by the way, he was the defensive player of the week last week. There's a middle finger to Brian Gutekunst. So the Vikings are going to come in here and they're going to say, nail in the coffin, own the North, done, good night. And then maybe, just maybe, to salvage the season, either you're completely out of it, so you might as well not play number 12 because you want to start to save him for next year. Maybe it's a Jordan Love era. And if Jordan Love comes in and gets a win, then we've got an offseason quarterback controversy. Oh, my goodness. Does this suck or what? More of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It's the Green and Gold postgame show. I'm Bill Michaels. We are glad to have you. Unfortunately, we're talking about the slow, painful, ugly watch demise of the Green Bay Packers, who have now lost 5 straight. 15-9, they lose to the Detroit Lions today at Ford Field, and it was just it was an awful game. It was awful to watch. Not much excitement to it. I mean, it was an exciting game in the sense of almost like football follies, just craziness to it. But Aaron Rodgers today, 23 of 43, 291 yards, sacked only 1 time, but threw 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions on the day, and a 53.5 quarterback rating. You've also got Aaron Jones, 9 carries, 25 yards. Didn't a couple of carries late in the ball game, didn't garner anything. A.J. Dillon, 11 carries, 34 yards on the day. Aaron Rodgers, 4 carries, 40 yards. He was your top guy. Kylan Hill gets a carry for 7 yards. Josiah DeGuara, your leading receiver today with 41 yards, 5 catches. Alan Lazard, 4 catches, 87 yards and a touchdown. In terms of yardage, he was by far the highest receiver today. You got Robert Tonyan, 3 catches, 29 yards. Samori Toure, 2 catches, 34 yards. Christian Watson, a couple of catches, 24 yards before yet again going down with injury. Aaron Jones, a couple of catches, 20 yards. A.J. Dillon, a couple of catches, 10 yards. And then 1 catch for Lewis, 1 catch for Romeo Doubs, and then 1 catch for Sammy Watkins, who ran the opposite way on the final play of the game to ultimately seal the deal for the Green Bay Packers as the pass fell incomplete. Bakhtiari, Amari Rodgers, and it kind of goes on from there. Really nothing to write home about. Packers today, 8 of 15 on 3rd down, 53.3%, which will normally win you a lot of ball games. It just never materialized because of red zone mistakes by Aaron Rodgers. 6 of 11 and 54.5% for the Lions on 3rd down. Packers defensively didn't get off the field consistently, but they made plays. They came up with some good plays. Only gave up 15 points to a team that had traditionally been able to score in the first half. They did a decent job. Normally you win a game only giving up 15. But it was terrible. The Packers drives went like this: 13 plays, 88 yards, pick in the red zone. 7 plays, 57 yards, pick in the red zone. 12 plays, 61 yards. They turned it over on downs after they went for it on 4th down. lost the ball. Then they go to half. After that, 6 plays, 23 yards. They punted, 2 plays, a yard, then a pick. Right after the Jair Alexander interception, 7 plays, 49 yards. They finally scored the touchdown. Then they go 14 plays, 71 yards. They get the field goal. And then 8 plays, 40 yards, pass into the end zone, falls harmlessly to the turf. Sammy Watkins went right. The pass went left. And that was pretty much all she wrote. The defense, they got when the Lions got down in the Packers red zone, were trying to punch it in. They stood stout. They got the ball on downs. Then they forced a punt. They gave up a touchdown. Jair gets the pick to start the second half. They forced again a punt. They gave up one more touchdown, 13 plays, 70 yards. Then they got him to turn the ball over on downs again. They stood firm. And then the game ends, obviously, with a kneel down. Packers defensively did pretty much their job for the most part, but it wasn't good enough. 877-867-1670. Let's get to a phone call here real quick. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Rockford. Mike, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, Bill. I talked to you during the week. I told you I had a bad feeling about this game, and unfortunately, I was right. Bill, listen, obviously the season's over. I just saw the Vikings did win. I wasn't sure, and I saw that they did win by a field goal. So they're 7-1 now. And you're right. The Bears are they're losing, but they're an up and coming team, I think. And I think the Packers are on it just really sucks. And I'm going to tell you something. We're sitting here talking about Joe Barry. I'm going to tell you who's got to go. Matt LaFleur needs to go, because Matt LaFleur is riding the coattails of Aaron Rodgers. And when Aaron Rodgers, a good coach, Bill, takes a team when it's down, when it's out players, when there's injuries, and he motivates these players to play hard and has great play calling schemes. I don't see that with this guy. I see a young, inexperienced head coach. For 3 years we saw these stats. Oh, he's 40-13 or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you take number 12 out of there, and what is Matt LaFleur? Now when number 12 is struggling because he's having an off year and he doesn't have anybody to throw to and the play calling sucks, whose shoulders does this fall on? The defense, for the most part, has played better than the offense this year. I will say the defense has their problems, but they've outshined the offense by a mile. So who should get fired? Mr. LaFleur, because I think he's a young, experienced kid and doesn't know what he's doing, and they need to get somebody in here that has knowledge of the game and knows how to do some play calling, Bill.
Yeah, it's become less and less and less creative, and the excuses have grown more and more. And I think at this point, I appreciate the phone call. I think at this point, and I hate to say this because I never thought this was actually happening behind the scenes, and maybe I was really naive or wearing the green and gold glasses. The catering to Aaron Rodgers is done. It has to stop. What are you afraid of anymore? If he walks away, he walks away. You're $50 million. You throw a year away. You get back out. You put the train back on the tracks. If he walks away, if he comes back and he's unhappy, so be it. So what? So what at this point? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. I want to hear from all of you. We got a ton of people over on the Bud Light live stream with a lot of comments flying by. I want to get to a lot of them as fast as I can. We got to get to a break. I went really long in the first segment, just being very, very long-winded. I apologize. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show, and I want to get to your comments on the live stream. For all of you that are watching the program, I want to get all of your comments over on Twitter, the emails that are coming in, the phone calls that are coming in. We got a lot coming up. We are going to hear from Aaron Rodgers. I'm really interested to hear what he has to say in the postgame show. Obviously, Matt LaFleur, Mike Clemens is live in Detroit. We got all of this coming up. Stay tuned. We got the best and most honest Packers coverage around right here on the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be right back.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Packers knocked off by the Detroit Lions. They get beat 15-9. Now, here's adding insult to injury, don't forget. Packers scored 9 points on the worst defense in the National Football League. 9 points. That's it. Howie Long, just a little while ago, they were talking about Rodgers. And he said, quote, "It's up to you," meaning Aaron Rodgers, "to get on the same page with your young guys." He said, yeah, the coaches can coach them up, but it's up to you to be there in the offseason and get on the same page with them. And he also said, you can coach them up during the week, but I don't like you coaching them up in the media. And then he talked about accountability. Sean Payton agreed. Now, I'm only throwing this out there just because that was part of the discussion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just throwing it out there. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Again, 877-867-1670. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Scott. Scott, welcome to the program, the Green and Gold Postgame Show. What's going on, man?
Brother, hey. I normally I'm mad at the defense, but I'm not going to give them any praise because the Lions were just about as punchless as the Packers were today, and they were out without their tight end, and then the defense did what they were supposed to do because they were playing an equally pathetic offense. But like Mike said, one of your earlier callers, LaFleur's got to go. I mean, you could see it coming from a mile away. He's basically stole all my thunder. It's like, what is he going to do if Rodgers starts to either play his age or stop getting the talent around him? And without Aaron Rodgers, LaFleur is nothing. I called in a couple weeks ago and said the same thing. He wasn't a great coordinator when he was with Tennessee. I don't know how he got the job. I don't know how they landed on this dude as being the next leader of men. But Aaron Rodgers, I appreciate the fact that he's trying to lead by some of the things that he says in the press after the games. But this game today, in my opinion, was completely on him, and he's starting to show every bit of his 38 years on planet Earth. Those interceptions were just horrible throws. I won't even talk about the Bakhtiari ran out for a pass because that was the guy's got a bad knee as it is, and you're out there running routes, and you might say that the defensive end made a play on him, but that was a terrible throw. I mean, Devontae Adams could have been out there, and that was just a horrible throw. Both throws in the end zone were terrible. All three of them were terrible.
Right.
But here's how I feel about it. If the season's over, I don't care how much money Aaron Rodgers is making. Let's put Jordan Love in the game, get him actual reps against real defenses with the number one team. Because what if Aaron gets hurt? Well, then you lose him next year, and you still got to go to Love. You're not playing for anything else this year. So what does it hurt? And like you were just saying, if it hurts his feelings, so what? Maybe you can just say we're protecting our investment for a run next year. But that's how I'm seeing it. I'd rather see what the guy can do. You wasted a first-round draft choice on him. You might what other perfect opportunity to let Jordan Love play now when you have nothing else to play for except pride. So right. I don't know. What do you think?
I think as long as this team is not mathematically eliminated, Jordan Love, unless Aaron Rodgers goes down with an injury, is not going to see the field. I don't believe that. I think Rodgers doesn't want it. I think they're too afraid of hurting his feelings. I think Matt LaFleur is still trying to hang on to a job if there is a sense that he could possibly lose it. I think there's just too much at stake within personal interest inside the walls at 1265 to put Jordan Love into at this point. Not that I think Jordan Love's going to be great by any stretch. You know what I mean? But I just don't think that they're going to do that. They've never done that.
I agree. I get you. I know I'm 50 years young, and I know how the Packers are. You're right. But I'm just like, what can it hurt? If anything, put him out there, and let's see if you can get something in a trade value for him. Something. Because right now, I wouldn't, give it old donkey for Jordan Love because he never plays.
Right.
So, I mean, so what if you hurt his feelings? You could just go to Aaron and say, look, dude, we got to see what the guy's got because we got to unload it a little bit. Or if you get hurt, we got to see what we got. And because right now it's unknown. I mean, you can run him out there in the preseason all day long or against the Kansas City Chiefs when he get hurt last year or a couple years ago. But I gotta sit there and Rodgers down and say, hey, man, we don't want you to get hurt because we think we got a chance next year if we can bring in the right talent and kind of figure this thing out. But we got to see what we got in Jordan Love. And we're 3-6 now, and we're not catching the Vikings. And, Dallas is going to come in here and make sure you don't make the playoffs next week. And I'll tell you what, I live down here in Dallas, man. They are licking their chops.
Yep. Absolutely. It's going to be a horrific game next week. If Micah Parsons has a field day, Dak Prescott throws wild, this team cannot stop the run between Pollard and Elliott. And they end up beating the Green Bay Packers with Barkley smiling as he walks off the field like 35-10. It is going to be an ugly, ugly, ugly boo-filled day at Lambeau Field. I completely agree with you.
It's going to be merciless.
Yes.
Merciless.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
Thanks, Bill.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate it. He drops off. You get on board over on the Bud Light live stream. You're looking live right now at a lot of the statistics from a little bit earlier today. Some of the things that you see over there is that the Packers ended up getting beat. The statistics for the Packers, not good. Their first downs today, not good. Passing today. They threw for more yards, obviously, than the Lions did, but it was all for naught when they kept throwing the picks. Also, again, 8 penalties again today, 3 turnovers. They only punted once as opposed to the Lions who punted 3 times. Defense, for the most part, did their job. Time of possession dominated by the Green Bay Packers, but the mistakes were also dominated by the Green Bay Packers in so many different facets within this game. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. This was from Andrew over on the Bud Light live stream. For those of you watching, he said, Aaron Rodgers has done a lot for the organization. He has. There is a little debate in that. The front office failed to build around him and do it properly for years. But it is time to see what Love has. Whether that means Aaron is benched or he decides to retire midseason, it's his choice. We need to start looking for the future. Andrew, not with $50 million on the table next year, because it doesn't matter what you have in Jordan Love right now. Because Rodgers still has a decision to be made. You can't trade him. It's too much money. So if he retires, this team is bereft of funds going into next season. It's going to be you and I probably playing the offensive line. Maybe somebody you and I both know that has some speed on the outside playing wide receiver. Maybe a running back or two. If you got a fat guy that carries beer barrels up and down the stairs at your local pub, he can probably run for a couple of yards, put a helmet on the fat guy, and call it a day. But other than that, that's it. They're not going to have money next year. So it is still Aaron Rodgers' team until he decides to walk away. And then after that, it would be Jordan Love and a bunch of dudes you and I never heard of for right now. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Would love to hear from you. This one's from John, who says, in defense of Rodgers, Lazard and Watkins as your top wide receivers. Come on. You're asking Picasso to paint with crayons. That I also agree. But remember, at the beginning of the season, the question was, is it Devontae or is it Rodgers? Who is the better player? Well, Rodgers can make people great. That's what everybody kept saying. I didn't. I kept saying, no. You got to have somebody to help you help others. Didn't happen. But others said, don't worry about it. Rodgers is going to throw him open. Rodgers is great. He puts it in the window. And I agreed with all that. He is great, but he's great with great players. He's great with very good players. He's not great with mediocre players. No team is. It is the ultimate team sport, and right now they don't have enough of a team. But today, Rodgers played poorly. Probably his worst game as a starter that I can ever remember. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels and the Green and Gold postgame show coming up.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, right.
Good to have you back. Packers knocked off by the Detroit Lions 15-9. The losing streak goes to 5 in a row. Packers at 3-6. Lions are at 2-6 on the season. Next up on the docket for the Green Bay Packers, Mike McCarthy and the well-rested bye-week Dallas Cowboys. Packers fall to the Giants, the Jets, the Commanders, the Bills, and the Lions. A stretch in which we picked them to go 4-1, not 0-5. And man, oh man, it is. I don't even know what to say. It looks just really bad right now for this Green Bay Packers football team. 877-867-1670. We still got Nicholas. Connor, let's go to Nicholas. Nicholas, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? First time caller. I just found your show recently, and I love it, man. Listen every day.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a couple points to make. I mean, first off, I don't know why we didn't take the field goal early on there when we were in the red zone and we went for it on fourth down. I mean, I get it. The Lions suck. Their defense isn't good. But we need to take points when we can get it, especially since we've seen how bad our offense is. And this game was so important. I just don't understand how you walk away from points that early on.
I think they were trying to make a statement. They were trying to do something, anything. And I agree with you. I thought they should have taken the points too, but I agree with you. At any point in time, you just needed something to spark this team, and I think that's what they were hoping for, and it just never materialized. And it's just, you know what? It's the epitome of, if we can make a decision and it would be the wrong one, we'll make it. And if we can try to do something that's going to spark this team, it's going to fail because of mistakes. And that's what this whole season has been.
Yeah. And the second point is, you know, when all this was happening, it would have been really nice. And I know Rodgers did this in the fourth quarter at like 6 minutes left or whatever, but it would have been really nice to see a shot of him gathering his wide receivers and his offense saying, you know what, guys, I'm playing like crap right now. This is on me. I'm sorry, but let's go. Let's make it, let's go out there and win this game. This is on me, but I'm going to play better here. I just feel that he fails in leadership a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. I would agree at this point. I'm really interested to see, appreciate the phone call. And thanks for listening, man. I appreciate that too. I'm really interested to see what Aaron Rodgers had to say after the game. He is speaking, and we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur when we come back after the top of the hour. So stay here. Don't go anywhere, because you're going to hear Matt LaFleur in its pretty much entirety. By the way, Randy says this sure makes next week's game against Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys incredibly interesting. I have tickets, and I'm just cringing. This one's from Craig, who says karma's going to be biting Rodgers against the Cowboys big time. Javier says this is pie in the sky, but trade Rodgers to the Chargers for Justin Herbert along with Jordan Love. Not going to happen. Here's the reason why. You owe Rodgers too much money, and the guaranteed money will crush your team. That's why. Randy says trade deadline came and went. We didn't trade for anybody. Jeff says, let's remember we did to the playoffs in the past few years before we fire LaFleur. I'm not saying fire LaFleur. And somebody asked me over on Twitter, and I responded I said, look, if you feel any head coach, I'm not just talking about Matt LaFleur, but any head coach loses a football team, then you have no obligation. You have no other choice but the obligation to fire him, because if the team's not listening, who cares? That's what he's there to do, is coach the team. If you believe that he hasn't lost the team's still fighting, they're just making a ton of mistakes, well, then what you do is you give, especially a successful head coach, time to correct his issues, time to correct the problems. Now, the other thing you have to think about is, if you would consider firing him, who would be the next head coach? And in addition to that, is that head coach capable of coming in and grabbing a team that is on the downturn with all of these different ramifications and problems and then turning it back around? Now, for those that are saying Sean Payton, I think he would make a terrific coach, but I can't imagine Sean Payton coming into this situation and not having more power. I don't see that. So remember that, because Sean Payton, he's at the end of his tenure, man, as far as a head coach goes. He still wants to be a head coach, but he also wants the power to say with the general manager, maybe this might be the perfect situation for him because of the way the three-headed monster of general manager is played, with Mark Murphy overseeing both Brian Gutekunst, Russ Ball, and then obviously the head coach. So maybe in that aspect, he does have say. He does have more of an input, but he's not going to be the general manager coming in and the head coach. That's not going to happen. But I still think the question is, inside the walls of 1265, hey, if you believe that Matt LaFleur is still the guy, then you go with it. You just go with it. You ride it out. You let him do his thing, and you go from there. But the only way you make a move is if you believe a successful head coach has indeed lost the team. 877-867-1670. By the way, the other stagnating statistic from today's game is Packers 0 for 4 in the red zone today. 0 for 4 in the red zone with 2 interceptions, both at the hands of Aaron Rodgers. Both of those at the hands of Aaron Rodgers. JK says it's amazing the mess that Green Bay has. William says Sean Payton isn't coming to be dictated to by Aaron Rodgers. Now, remember, though, he also worked with a guy in Drew Brees. Now, Drew Brees is a little easier to work with, at least according to some. But he has had experience working with a high-profile quarterback. And remember, Drew Brees was loved and is loved in the New Orleans area. Remember what those two did during Hurricane Katrina. So it bought him a lot of credibility and a lot of extra time through problematic situations because of everything they did to love the community. So it bought him a lot of time. Stay tuned. Stay right where you're at. Don't go anywhere. If you're watching us on the Bud Light live stream, hang in there. You know why? Matt LaFleur, you're going to hear his recap of this craptastic performance coming up after this. And then, by the way, I just saw Aaron Jones wheeled out of the tunnel heading towards the bus in a walking boot wearing the sombrero. Just saw Aaron Jones in a walking boot wearing the sombrero as he was carted to the team bus. Oh, boy. Another hour yet to go. The Green and Gold postgame show. We're not going anywhere, so don't you. We'll be back. Packers lose to the Detroit Lions 15-9 in a craptastic game at Ford Field. More to come. We're about a minute and a half away. Stay right where you're at. One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. I'm in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Rural Mutual Insurance.
Keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance. Keeping Wisconsin strong. Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Blue 58, go! Green 18, Green 18, touch!
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Packers fall to the Detroit Lions in ugly fashion, for lack of a better term. And, man, it was not what you were hoping for by any stretch of the imagination. They fall 15-9. They lose, and in addition to that, the Green Bay Packers, they go to a whopping 3-6 on the season, and I think the hope is pretty much out the door at this point in time when it comes to trying to make the postseason. Now, hope still springs eternal in many different facets for many different Packers fans out there, but I think the reality is fast sinking in. Let's go over to Detroit. Take a listen to what Matt LaFleur had to say after the ball game. Here it is.
Obviously, extremely disappointed right now. I thought our defense battled and did a really good job. This is an offense that I want to say in the last 7 games have scored 27 plus in this building. So, to not take advantage of that performance is certainly disappointing. Just too many mistakes, turnovers, obviously not scoring the first 2 times in the red zone, and then penalties at really inopportune times. And the only way we can get through that, we got to stop doing those things that are really hurting us. So I thought the guys played hard. It wasn't for lack of effort. But obviously I think everybody's very, very, very disappointed right now.
Man, it's not like Aaron to throw interceptions. What do you think was going on there?
I got to go back and look at it. I think the first one bounced off somebody's helmet, and, sometimes that's the price of doing business. And then, not quite sure, the one to Dave and the one to Bobby. So you got to go back and take a peek at it.
Obviously, you worked on that play to Dave. Did you think you saw something there where you had an opening that was going to work? And I assume, what did you see?
It wouldn't have been in if we didn't think it had a chance to work. And, give Detroit credit. They made a play.
Where do you go from here, Matt? I mean, you're 3-6, which is unlike anything you've ever faced. I'm sure the guys are rough shape mentally. Where do you go from here?
We got 8 games left, and we got to take it. We got the Dallas Cowboys coming into Lambeau, and certainly they're riding high right now. I want to say they're on a bye this week. Playoff caliber team, really good. They got stars all over the place. So we got to get back to work and try to come up with a better plan to put our guys in a better position and go out and battle in Lambeau.
Now, did you consider making a quarterback change?
No.
Did you consider that option?
No.
Did you want end zone shots? Is that what you were looking for on those last?
Not necessarily.
What do you think? Well, went into the decision making there then to take those shots. It just kind of looked like hope and prayers almost.
Yeah, no, I got to. Obviously, play calls weren't good enough, and so that falls on me. And it's certainly disappointing.
Was Dave not feeling well and decided to cut it out at the end, or what was the thing?
Yeah, I haven't talked to Dave yet, so I just anytime someone's in or out, Flea always comes and lets me know, and then that's just how we roll. So a lot of times throughout the course of a game, somebody may go out, may come back in, may go out. And then obviously we know from past experiences with Dave's situation that it's pretty fluid, and but he wanted to go back in there at the end of the game.
How bad is Romeo's injury?
Not quite sure yet.
You said after the Washington game that the next couple of weeks would show you what this team's made of. How concerning is it that you guys just lost to the worst team, at least record-wise, in the NFL? Is that what you're made of?
Well, I don't think it. I would be concerned if I saw guys not competing out there. I didn't see that. I just saw us not taking advantage of certain opportunities and making way too many critical mistakes. And when you do that, I don't care who you're playing in this league, you're going to get beat.
You second guess yourself not getting there. Jumps the ball up. I think you're in 7 plays inside of 10 today, and you didn't touch the ball. Wasn't targeting any of those two. It's easy to look back in hindsight now, but do you regret those decisions?
Yeah, I mean, inside the 5-yard line, I don't know if you guys noticed, but they brought 6 defensive linemen in, and we tried to hand it off and run it through there unsuccessfully. I think a lot of times when you're playing a unit, and credit to Detroit, I mean, they dared us to throw the football. Like, I can't tell you how many times, you're looking, and particularly when we're under center and everybody's mugged up on the line of scrimmage. So, we've got to do something different, obviously, because we're not throwing and catching to the level that is conducive to winning football.
What does it tell you about your offense then, that the team who hasn't been able to stop anything this year is daring a team with Aaron Rodgers to throw the football?
Yeah, apparently we got to do some better things schematically to alleviate some of that.
Past it, AJ was on the field. You guys come up with timeout. AJ was on the field and you brought Aaron in late. Was there confusion there?
A little bit.
What do you think of Aaron's demeanor? I mean, there are times outside looking in, he looks almost miserable out there.
Well, I'm sure he's extremely frustrated, as we all are. It's. I don't think we've been in this situation. I know since my time here, we haven't been in this situation. I don't think he's been in this situations too many times throughout his career, obviously, and it's disappointing and frustrating. But yeah, I think that we all probably could do a little bit better job of controlling that frustration.
Offensively, Matt mentioned their defense struggle. Aaron this week mentioned you just want to have his 11 guys, and you had obviously you've lost some guys here and there throughout. But you scored so many points over 3 years. What hit it this year compared to the past years where you've been so good and such a struggle this year?
Well, if I had that answer right now for you, Bill, I don't think we'd be in the spot. So, that's something that we got to take a good hard look at everything we're doing, from what we're asking our guys to do to the plays that we're putting.
There you go. That's a lot of Matt LaFleur and some of the discussion. He's getting real technical at this point. Not that it really matters, but also Lil Wayne has declared the Green Bay Packers season over. He knocks Aaron Rodgers. Lil Wayne, Wheezy F, says, RIP to the season. We should have gotten rid of 12 before this season. I don't think it really matters what Lil Wayne says, but apparently the powers that be, that being the mass media, is putting it out everywhere. So I just didn't want to ignore it, but nevertheless. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Dreyfro says our quarterback is injured and making bad decisions. Not all on LaFleur. Guys are getting open. And that's true. There was a couple of times today that you had both Robert Tonyan and Alan Lazard down the middle, wide open, and Rodgers didn't throw to him. You saw the ball was underthrown a little bit. That ended up getting picked off, or batted away, I should say, batted away. Had it been underthrown anymore, it probably would have been picked off. Just a lot of issues right now. And Dean says, and by the way, the Bears look a ton better this year. Did you see the Bears at least scored 30-plus points? I did see that. The Bears got beat today by the Dolphins, and they got beat 35-32 today. 35-32. They get knocked off down in Miami. And when you look at the final statistics, you had Chase Claypool today, a couple of catches, only 13 yards. He was targeted 6 times. Mooney, though, was kind of the benefactor of some of those, him and Cole Kmet, because the defense was keying on Claypool. It opened up Cole Kmet, 5 catches, 41 yards, had an 18-yard touchdown grab, 2 touchdown grabs today, as a matter of fact. Mooney, 17-yard 7 receptions, 43 yards, and also had a 16-yard touchdown pass catch today from Justin Fields, who threw for 3 touchdowns, no interception, sacked a couple of times, also ran for 178 yards, had a long one of 61 yards for a touchdown, had a quarterback rating of 106.7. I mean, he's doing it all. It's just they don't have a defense right now behind them. They've kind of gutted that thing. But the Bears today, 10 of 16 on 30 on third down for 62.5%. Tua, though, just outdueled him. Tua, 21 of 30, 302 yards and 3 touchdowns today. Big day for the Miami Dolphins in that particular case. But, yeah, Chicago fell just 3 points short. And if they're going to come in scoring 25 and 30 points a game, and the Packers are going to try to keep up with that, they're not going to win that game down in Chicago. Oh, boy, you talk about the I own you moment. I still own you? Holy crap. There's an ugliness there that we have not even experienced as of yet. Oh, my goodness. Jeez. Jeez, oh Murphy. So there you have it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. We're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers coming back after the break. Hang in there. This one's from Bill, who says, this was one of the most disappointing losses I can remember in a long time. The Green Bay Packers look pathetic. Yes, they kept fighting, but they are so injury-ridden, and they have so many penalties and so many mistakes. It has to be coaching. You can't have this many mistakes and not blame a coach directly. That's from Bill. This is who do we have? We got a bunch of people over in the Bud Light live stream that I want to get to. This is from Mr. Sailboat. Says, at this point, you can put a recording of LaFleur out there answering these questions. His answers are the exact same every week. Always got to go back and look at the tape. That is cliche for it looks really bad, and I just don't want to talk about it. Another good hard look quote, Greg says, from Matt LaFleur. Yeah, cliche. Randy says, I thought Dan Devine was dead. This guy sounds exactly like Dan Devine. Let's look at the tape and make our corrections. Well, Mike McCarthy said the same thing towards the end for him, too. Taylor says, can't blame everybody. Everybody is hurt. Marty says, Lil Wayne, you cookie cutter. Rodgers' thumb, possibly the problem. Possibly. But you know what? I had a discussion a long time ago, back when Favre was still here, and Favre had the thumb issue and had the ankle issue. And, you know, I had this discussion. I'll never forget. It was at a practice. Larry McCarron and I were sitting there talking, and I talked with Larry about, you know, guys gutting it out. And Larry turned to me and said, hey, there's one thing to playing when you're in pain and you're injured, you know, and you're really kind of hurting. There's another thing to playing well. You can't go in and gut it out and just say, oh, my God, I'm a trooper. I'm not going to come out if you're hurting your team. So if Rodgers' thumb is really that bad and he's hurting his team, then he needs to pull himself. He needs to realize that and pull himself. Or Matt LaFleur does and pull himself. But if he is ailing but not really that detrimental, I mean, because he threw a couple of passes today that were right on the money. On the money. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to blame it all on the thumb. If Rodgers isn't, I'm not. The quarterback hasn't been the problem for 30 years. The problem's been with the front office. It was a mistake to put Sherman as the general manager, Ted as a complacent and GM that got stuck in his ways. Murphy's only worried about how much money was spent. If you look at the teams who have won multiple Super Bowls with the same quarterback, they go for it a couple of times. Then they realize the window is short and they leave no stones unturned to fill the needs. The Packers have poorly self-scouted since 1997. And after 2011, they lost so many scouts and have never really been able to replace any or all of them. If you look at New England, you never have the same weaknesses year after year. The Packers The Packers took forever to replace Nick Collins at safety. They ran Woodson out there nearly every snap, never replaced Finley, never got a good linebacker in the middle of the D. It's been a long time. They've been soft for years. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Over on the Bud Light live stream. Let's do this. When we come back, we're going to hear from the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And you are good. For those that say he's going to make excuses, you're going to hear whatever he has to say. That is coming up next on the Green and Gold Postgame Show.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show and the Green and Gold Postgame Show crashing into one another today, and we are glad to have you on board. Packers and the Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers, they could not play worse today. They were only able to muster 9 points against one of the worst defenses in the National Football League over at Ford Field in Detroit. It was just a bad performance. 5 losses now in a row. Really not a lot of hope coming on the horizon. Numerous injuries, and I told you earlier, I saw caught one of the glimpses in the tunnel that leads out of the base of Ford Field and over to the buses. Riding on the back of a golf cart in a walking boot was Aaron Jones, also wearing the sombrero in good spirits, but in a walking boot as well. Now, not all the time does that mean something detrimental. It just means that they want to keep it immobile. They don't want the swelling to get bad, and you get them back home, and then you get into treatment. But nevertheless, that's not good news by any stretch of the imagination. I don't care who you are. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. This one is from the Bad Guy TV. Says a McCarthy Bowl next. Going to have to see that. It's going to be hot. Randy says, not looking forward to next week with Mike McCarthy grinning that grin as he leaves Lambeau Field with a revenge victory. Let's listen to what Aaron Rodgers had to say after this ugly, ugly mess.
Question for Aaron.
Throws from you often on the you got all those interceptions. What happened with your play today? What you said?
Yeah, had some shitty throws for sure. The kid made a nice one down the middle, but the other two, I probably should have just checked out of that play and handed the ball off or adjusted the route in the first one. And then, I just was a little off balance and threw a bad one to Dave in the back.
Where are you at mentally, Aaron? All you've done is win for most of your time, Aaron. Now you're sitting here at 3-6 and you don't rest.
Yeah, pretty disappointed. That about sums it up, Bill. Just disappointed.
Aaron, you guys went through 13 games 3 years in a row to this. How did that happen?
Well, a lot of things went into that. I think we won a lot of one-score games over those years, and haven't been doing that this year. That's one thing.
You kicked around packages, possibly retiring in the offseason, is that right? Do you at all regret retiring? I mean, just there are times outside looking in where you almost look miserable sometimes.
I think that's an exaggeration, Pete. Frustration and miserability are two different emotions. So when I decided to come back, it was all in, and I don't make decisions and then, hindsight 2020, have regrets about big decisions like that. So I was all in, and this is a lot of life lessons for sure this year. But luckily it's not over. There's still a lot of games left. We'll be counted out probably by many, and we'll see how we respond. I'm not sure. I don't handle the personnel substitution, so I'm not sure what was going on. I guess we wanted AJ on that play, but I don't think it really mattered. Yeah, it looked like there was possibly there, but if I'd thrown it maybe a little closer to him, possibly that would have been a penalty. I think it could have been illegal contact, but I probably should have put it a little bit more in this area to get that penalty. It was tight. I couldn't really tell. I had to throw a little early. I couldn't tell exactly what angle he was going to come out. I don't know what happened, if it was slightly behind him or if it was just knocked away. But I don't know. I got to see the film.
I wanted Dave. I couldn't tell if he was open and leaving. So
there's only two options on play, but I probably should have given him a chance. I'll definitely have to live with that throw for the rest of my life with our friendship.
Where are you pretty optimistic these last couple of weeks, saying all it takes is one? Sounds like there's still a little bit of that left, but how do you? I'm not trying to be disrespectful in saying this. How do you believe that you guys can still turn around after you guys just lost to that team?
I've been counted out many times in my life, as have many of my teammates. And I hope we just dig deep and find a way. We will truly be underdogs for many games moving forward. Hopefully we can embrace that. We have 2 games at home. We got to go win those 2 games in a week, and then this thing looks a little different.
Are you encouraged moving by your record against the Cowboys? Done really well against them historically. Does that add any sort of comfortability?
We won a lot of games down there, but no, not really. It's new teams, different situations. we have 2 games at home in a week.
So you have a talk with Rashawn, all the guys are lugging him on the way out. Is that a bad sign that you guys don't know something about where he stands right now?
I mean, I don't know what his status is. I didn't even know he was what happened to him in the game. But obviously we had him go out 87 early, 9, 33, 59 being out, 21. So some significant injuries in that game. Still had a chance to overcome it, though.
I think you had as many as 8 or 9 teammates at exit the game with injuries. A couple of changes on your offensive line. You were on one today. Yes, first down. Did that say something to the intensity of today's game or something else?
Well, I mean, I played shitty, but I never gave up. And obviously, I don't want to lead us in rushing. But I knew I was going to have to make some plays with my legs. And that's really moving forward, I'm going to have to keep doing things like that. But no, I feel like we never gave up. I mean, we moved the ball well in the first half, and I threw a couple picks in the end zone. Took points off the board. So that obviously came back to hurt us down the stretch.
There you go. That's Aaron Rodgers after the game saying when asked about the team, he said, doesn't matter, quote, I played S. If you heard it, we had to bleep it, but I played S. And he said it was my fault in the red zone. I could have done this. I threw it off my back foot. It was a wobbly pass. It was too short. He went on and on and on. He didn't blame anybody else. He also talked a little bit about some of the losses, the injuries, which are true. You know, you lost Romeo Doubs just as he really starts to make strides. It was an injury-plagued game. David Bakhtiari was in and out. John Runyon, Robert Tonyan all returned back to the field after leaving the game. Barnes and Watson were evaluated for concussions. Romeo Doubs, Rashawn Gary, and Stokes all carted off the field with ankle injuries, knee injuries. Aaron Jones jogged to the locker room, jogged back onto the field, did not return. But as I had mentioned, I saw him being carted to the team bus out of Ford Field in a walking boot with the sombrero on, in good spirits, but not walking. He was being carted. It was just a myriad of injuries that happened to the Green Bay Packers today over at Ford Field. They lose 15-9, and they did move the football. They had numerous opportunities. The problem is we keep looking at this team week in and week out and keep saying the same thing. It's just a few mistakes. It's just something here or there. It's just this. It's just that. It's always an excuse. It's always real. It's not as if it's being made up. It's just 1, 2, 3, 5 things that keep preventing this team from having success. Are they close? I believe that if they eliminate those turnovers, if they eliminate those problems, eliminate those stupid penalties, absolutely, they can win some games. These one-score games can flip over to their favor, but they keep shooting themselves in the foot. This reminds me a lot, of the final year of Mike McCarthy. When things were going bad, they were committing mistakes, the focus wasn't there. And we talked about the loss of focus regarding the head coach and what he was thinking and their reception of him. And then ultimately they made the move. The season ended. They reset. New head coach. Same team, basically. They go on to win 13 games. Just an ugly, ugly day at Ford Field. We're going to step out, take a quick break. Hang in there. We got a lot of people on hold still. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Packers knocked off by the Detroit Lions. Think of this at the beginning of the season where the optimism was. And this is the reason I think there's so much passion and so much anger. The defense picked up 2 starters off of Georgia's national championship defense. Jair Alexander was coming back and coming back healthy. Za'Darius, who did not play last year, was gone. Rashawn Gary's full-time. Everybody was loving it. Preston Smith was going to be the bookend. Dean Lowry had a successful season last year. Kenny Clark was getting help with Jaron Reed. The middle linebacking core was getting bolstered. Everything that was supposed to happen happened. Stokes had a good season last year, so you only assume between him and Jair was going to be these dynamic bookends in the backside, right? Defensively, things were going to be great. And for the most part, the defense has not played terribly. They've just played sometimes inexplicably stupid. Meanwhile, the offense, really the only loss, you lost Billy Turner, you lost some depth, but what you lost was Devontae. How are you going to make up for Devontae? Tanyan's back. Mercedes Lewis is back. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, they're back. Lightning, Thunder, Mayor of Door County, they're back. Aaron Rodgers back. He's happy. He loves Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur's here, right? Bakhtiari's coming back. Elton Jenkins back over at his left guard position. All is right with the world. John Runyon, another year under his belt. Josh Myers, solid center. Everything was supposed to be good. And the one thing that has been bad in the most recent past was Rich Bisaccia coming in. He was going to fix the special teams. And Mason Crosby hasn't been that bad. I don't know what that opening kickoff was. I don't know if he just missed it or what, but that was terrible. But he was bad. And then all of a sudden, everything's good. He's only missed one field goal all season long. We're halfway through the season. It hasn't been terrible. Amari Rodgers is bad. We know that. But the coverage has been better for the most part. Everything's been okay. It's been better than what we've witnessed in the past, special teams-wise, and that's all they needed to do to bolster a team that we expected to score 27 points or more on a consistent basis, and therefore that defense, just being a niche better than what it was last year, was going to have success. This team was going to win the division. This team was going to be, with everybody shifting over to the AFC, this team kind of had a wide-open path in the NFC. That's the reason there is so much angst and ire, is because you had a couple of things to do. You bring in Sammy Watkins and you thought, that's not the answer. We all knew it. You knew it and I knew it. But we all drank the Kool-Aid. Red China had us convinced. The satellites flying over us were shooting brainwaves into our domes. We were like buying in. Go, Pack, go. And we knew this sucks, but we just ignored it. That's what we bought into. And it was supposed to be another spectacular year, and it's just not. And you're thinking to yourself, what's gone wrong? And then as things began to look bleak, you and I started to go, you know what? Some of the play calling offensively is just inexplicable. You can't keep saying that's unacceptable. I got to check the tape. Something's not right. You and I, we looked at it and we went, oh, they're going to get it right. Oh, this game, they're going to get it right. They're going to put it back on the tracks this game. The back on the tracks games have now come and gone. It's not happened. And there is still something innately wrong behind the walls of 1265. And I don't know what they are. Maybe you do. I don't know. But when I'm asked about it, I just go, something's wrong. There's just, you and I have good eyes. Packers fans are not stupid fans. If anything, Packers fans are probably some of the most intelligent fans in all of the NFL. You and I aren't stupid. I'll defer to you. You tell me, do things look right? Hell no. Does something look innately wrong? You can't put your finger on it, but just everything's starting to run downhill. The rolling stone is gathering the moss and flinging it wildly, and it's rolling right over us as fans. Something is innately wrong. Was it the bad feelings created in the offseason where Davante Adams just said, you can't pay me enough. I'm not coming back. To hell with you. All this knocking down of the silos, did we just ignore maybe a schism, a separation somewhere along the way? I don't know. 877-867-1670. Let's get to our buddy. He's been on hold a long time. Mike listening to us in Whitewater. Mike, hey, what's going on, man? Mike! Oh, we lost Mike after all that time. Damn. He held for a long period of time, too. Eric says blaming the GM is short-sighted to a point. Their mistake was giving Rodgers all that money, trapping Green Bay with a guaranteed money where we cannot trade him, and if he retires, we're still screwed. Well, but at the time, don't you feel that coming off of back-to-back MVPs, you still had an obligation to say, hey, we got to see this thing through, and we got to ride it out, and it's going to give us our best opportunity to win? I do. I don't fault I don't fault the organization. You know what, Eric? That's a great point. I don't fault the organization. Players, I've always said, get what you can get, okay? But Rodgers did. And I think what we read last week, whether you believe it or not, a general manager quoted in a story to the Washington Post said that Aaron Rodgers made the choice. The bickering about the contract, about whether or not he wanted to retire or not retire and such, all of that played into this. And then you have a choice as a quarterback. Take all the money and get paid, be the highest paid player in the league. That's fine. You deserve it. You've done so many amazing things. Absolutely. But once you do, you cannot look the camera, the fan in the eye and say, well, you know, we got shortcomings here and there and there. Hey, if you'd have taken 30 million instead of 50, if you'd have taken 40 instead of 50, there's 10 more million bucks for another guy to come in and play. Might have been a bigger off-season acquisition rather than Sammy Watkins. Maybe made a trade for somebody you can fit in under the cap. Who knows? You know, you lose Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Okay, he's a guy that can lift the lid. But you know what's really weird is he's having a hell of a season as one of the main weapons over there for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes got on the same page with him right damn now. Why did it take Aaron Rodgers 3 years sitting on the pedestal to say, you please climb up here and be with me, otherwise I can't throw you the ball, you're in my doghouse? I think there's a little bit of that going on too. I think a lot of this you can pin it squarely on the quarterback. As talented and as unbelievable as he is, and there is no denying the talent, the knowledge, the ability of Aaron Rodgers. He is one of the best. I will die on that hill saying it. But also, outside looking in, the ego and the demand to be better on my level, to raise yourself up rather than be raised up by others, has been at times, I think, detrimental. It's great to expect excellence out of so many people. But part of being a teammate and being a leader is also lowering yourself to others' levels to then lift them up upon your shoulders, not to pull them up, and if they don't pull hard enough, to let them go, only to fall back down. But don't get me wrong, it's not like MVS was Devontae Adams, so no, I'm not going to go into that direction either. MVS is a nice weapon, but that's about the extent of it. 877-867-1670. Max says, did you see what Lil Wayne? I did see what Lil Wayne had to say. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, just an FYI. Real quick, we got our buddy Mike back. Mike, what's going on? We got about a minute. Shoot.
Hey, buddy. I feel like a teenager again just after watching the Lombardi area, watching these Packers.
Yep. It's bad right now. It's like 1983.
What? Yes, sir. I got the 70s too, buddy. Remember.
Yep.
But my question to you is, did you see it was either second or third down on the last possession? He had two people right in front of him running from each, like a crossing, but they hadn't crossed when he threw the one into the end zone. Why are we always throwing to the end zone? Give these guys a chance to catch the ball and maybe run it in.
No idea. I completely agree with you.
Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, I did see what you're talking about. You had a couple of guys wide open on the out. They didn't go to the middle, which I was surprised because they actually had timeouts at the end of the game. And Mike, I hate to cut you short, but I got to cut you short. Appreciate the phone call. By the way, Mark says, what about 1986 with Forrest Gregg and Randy Wright? Oh, my God, 1986. That was a 4-12 season, if I'm not mistaken. And that was when Forrest Gregg was here for a couple of years. He came from Cincinnati after a Super Bowl thinking that he was going to give you the resurgence of the Lombardi-led Packers because he was one of those guys. And, oh, man, he was terrible. He was a terrible head coach. When we come back, our own Mike Clemens going to be joining us live over there in Detroit, Ford Field. Stay tuned. More to come of the Green and Gold Postgame Show next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Did the game ball to AG. It's a hell of a job, man. Coaches his heart out, and he put everything into it as he always does, and those guys responded. We knew we needed takeaways today. A minimum of 2 is what we talked about, and Kirby Joseph came up big. Hutch got 1, but as a whole, that defense, man, they rose up, and I thought we played aggressive. I did think we challenged on the perimeter. Look, some of the plays that they made, we were in the fight, and that's all you can ask for. We're in it. We're in it.
Unfortunately, the Green Bay Packers not in it. That's the words of Dan Campbell talking about giving the game ball to the Lions defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, who they held the Green Bay Packers to only 9. It's one of the worst defenses in the league. And the Packers, that's all they could muster. Joining us now on the hotline, wrapping things up through this last segment, our buddy Mike Clemens over in Detroit at Ford Field. Mike, I don't even know what to say. This was a terrible game.
Players, very physical, scratching and clawing down there. Only 15-9, but, there was a brawl going on. The Lions were grabbing balls, punching them out, trying to get it. And then when you get in the visitors' locker room after your 6th loss in a row, apparently none of the players said anything in the locker room. And Mercedes Lewis was asked, why no speeches today?
No, I think, over the last few weeks, we've done enough of that. We're grown, and I feel like, You know, there's not much you can say about a game like this. We all understand, especially when you know how much we put into this. This league is unforgiving. You know what I mean? It'll humble you quick, and the margin for error is small. And today, we didn't make enough plays, and that's the result.
Mike, and I get it. I mean, a lot of players not happy about all of this. Defensively, it wasn't a terrible day at the office for the Packers.
We've talked about how the Lions have been scoring over 30 points a game, especially here at home at Ford Field. Jair got the one pick. But Devondre Campbell out with a knee injury from last week's game. So he had a rookie, Quay Walker, calling the game in the defensive huddle. Kenny Clark asked how the rookie did running the defense.
He did a great job. He did a great job commanding the huddle. He made plays and, happy about his progression.
This team won a lot of games over the last 3 years. You won a lot of games, 13 wins. How did this happen? How did it get to this point?
We can't shoot each other. Shoot ourselves in the foot. Can't have penalties in critical situations. And at the end of the day, you got to make more plays. You got to give them credit. They made plays, and we didn't.
Mike, Rasul Douglas, I know, talked a little bit about it, but I was starting to think to myself, with this many guys going down, ankles, knees, all that kind of stuff, can we talk a little bit about the turf? Was it a turf issue at Ford Field?
Bill, you and I worked with a number of former players who off the air, they despise the carpet in places like here at Ford Field. And they talk about, if it takes till Thursday to feel better after a game of Lambeau, it takes you till Saturday when you play a game here. And you got all these guys dropping. So I asked Rasul Douglas straight on about that issue today.
8 or 9 of your teammates had to leave the game with injury. Does that say something of the intensity of today's game?
I don't know if that is that or the turf. So it's probably a little bit of both. Everybody knew this was a game that we had to win, or should have won. But, so everybody's just out there just trying to get their all. And injuries happen. It's a part of the game. Everyone gets injured. So,
guys were flying around.
Yeah, everybody was flying full speed. Everybody was trying to get a win. Yeah.
What's your emotion right now?
I don't even know. But it's like 5 in a row, so I don't know how to feel right now.
Is it confusing?
2 more for him. He's got to hit the shot. I wouldn't say confusing. I think we're all just upset. We're just so upset. I know I am.
He has a right to be. Things just not going right for this team at all right now, Mike. And offensively speaking, Rodgers, I get it. They keep talking about, your go-to guys, the guys you feel comfortable with, but still they're not able to move the football. And when they do, they commit costly penalties or the line breaks down to where you can't continue drives.
Kind of a weird game where Josiah DeGore, the tight end, was your leading receiver today. Lazard had some drops. I talked to him. I said, your quarterback, man. First you lose John Runyon, right guard. Zach Tom, that kid's got to prepare for 3 different positions this week, right? He starts at right guard. Then Bakhtiari is starting to have trouble. He has to leave at left tackle. So they move Zach Tom to left tackle, and then you got Rodgers scrambling around. And so when you're a receiver, how much does that take your timing off to have to run the scramble drill?
Yeah, scrambles, obviously they lead to bigger plays, but probably lower percentage of conversion. But also you're running around a lot more too. So you're running deeper routes and you got to come back, especially when we don't convert or get any positive yards from the plays and everything. So obviously we don't call plays to scramble. We want to execute them and everything. So we got to focus on the details and see why we aren't able to get the ball out on time and everything. And I still thought we did a pretty good job given the scrambles that we had today.
Mike, Aaron Rodgers had to run a little bit today. I know he made some plays with his feet. It's obviously it's still it hurts when you're in the red zone a couple of times and you're throwing picks and bouncing it off of guys' helmets and such. But at least Rodgers was still out there doing what he does and trying, so to speak.
Well, after about the 4th time he had to leave the pocket, try and get a first down. He ended up having 40 yards today. I said, what's a 38-year-old man doing running around here? He's supposed to be back in the pocket, just throwing passes, man. And I asked him that after the game today.
I played shitty, but I never gave up. And obviously I don't want to lead us in rushing. But I knew I was going to have to make some plays with my legs. And that's really moving forward, I'm going to have to keep doing things like that. But no, I feel like we never gave up. I mean, we moved the ball well in the first half, and I threw a couple picks in the end zone. Took points off the board. So that obviously came back to hurt us down the stretch.
What was Rodgers like after the game, Mike? Well, you get a chance to look him in the eye.
Bill, there was one point where he was pretty much faced with 6 in a row. You know, you can't beat the Lions with a decimated secondary. And you're going to hear a long pause here. I'm telling you, the quarterback put his head down and was trying to hold back the emotion. Here's how it went.
We've been pretty optimistic these last couple of weeks, saying all it takes is one. Sounds like there's still a little bit of that left, but how do you, I'm not trying to be disrespectful in saying this, how do you believe that you guys can still turn around after you guys just lost to that team?
I've been counted out many times in my life, as have many of my teammates. And I hope we just dig deep and find a way. We will truly be underdogs for many games moving forward. Hopefully we can embrace that. We have 2 games at home. We got to go win those 2 games in a week, and then this thing looks a little different.
Are you encouraged?
Boy, like he said, nobody's going to pick him to win. That's for sure. Sean Payton said, Mike, I don't know if you heard it at the halftime show, said we keep talking about being these get-right games. Well, this is like the 4th or 5th get-right game the Packers had, and now you've got a tough team in Mike McCarthy coming to town. What do you do? What's next?
Yeah, Green Bay's the get-right team for the Giants, the Jets, the Commanders,
right,
and now the Detroit Lions. Romeo Doubs, tough ankle injury. Eric Stokes, that's got to be season-ending from what I saw. John Runyon came back. He came back. Christian Watson, back-to-back weeks with a concussion. Rashawn Gary, a knee, had to be carted off. Bakhtiari had his troubles. Aaron Jones had to go to the locker room for evaluation. Matt LaFleur, what's next?
We got 8 games left, and we got to take it. We got the Dallas Cowboys coming into Lambeau, and certainly they're riding high right now. I want to say they're on a bye this week. Playoff caliber team, really good. They got stars all over the place. So we got to get back to work and try to come up with a better plan to put our guys in a better position and go out and battle.
Mike, we'll talk again a lot about this tomorrow. An ugly loss for the Packers. Appreciate it, pal.
Thank you, Bill.
Until we do talk tomorrow, thanks to everybody watching on the Bud Light live stream. We certainly appreciate you. And also thanks to everybody listening all throughout the great state of Wisconsin, Packers Nation. Very disappointing day for the Green Bay Packers, no doubt about it. One more time, Packers taking on the chin. Detroit 15, Green Bay 9. We'll talk tomorrow.